it was never in my cards that I was going to have cancer. That was her story, and I was going to die of something, a heart attack, a fall, or something else, but never cancer, right? Hi, I'm Judy Lee Chensang, and I am Jamaican, and I'm an entrepreneur. You know, I'm in the insurance business, and I public speak, and I'm now an artist. And I am here to tell you about myself and the journey I've taken over the past year. And it's been an interesting journey. It's been a journey where I was alive and just living life. You know, I was busy, I was working, I was taking on things. And then all of a sudden one day I got the diagnosis, May 26th of 2017, that I got the diagnosis on a phone call. And the doctor said, you have breast cancer and you're going to have mastectomy. And all I heard was, you have cancer. And my life stopped in that moment. It was the most devastating news. And I know he said other things, but all I heard was cancer. And that for me was almost like a death sentence. Because you see, in 2000, my sister died of breast cancer. And I'm now faced with, I have breast cancer. Is that going to be my fate? And yet it was never in my cards that I was going to have cancer. That was her story, and I was going to die of something, a heart attack, a fall, or something else, but never cancer, right? And to hear that I have breast cancer, I know how to deal with what is my life going to be like, what is the future, and am I going to die? What had me do the testing was, oh wow, in December of 2016, there was a very strange situations that kept happening. I'd wake up in the morning and take off my nightgown, and I'd feel a scratch on my skin. It was on my thigh one day, the next day it was on my stomach, next day it was on my arm. And I'm looking around on my nightgown, there's nothing. Did I have a burr from outside in the grass? What was going on? I couldn't find anything, but I'd have these scratches on my skin. And then another morning I felt something wet on my hand, and I'm looking up in the ceiling like, do we have a leak in the house? What's going on? I have no idea. And eventually another morning I took off my nightgown, and then I had brown spots on my bed and on my nightgown. And I was like, what is this? I'm no longer at the age of menses. I'm in menopause. What's going on? There's nothing there. And eventually another morning I woke up and I took it off, and then I saw a discharge, some liquid coming from my nipple. And I was like, oh. And then over time I would see I would put on a pad, and it would just start squirting out. I'd just have a pad in there, and it would get wet. And then over time I saw that it was like meconium, just like, baby's milk first time. And then it would it would harden. And that was what was actually causing those scrapes on my skin. And that was what was my indication. I thought it was an infection because I had a pimple and I had popped it. And I thought, maybe it's an infection or something going on. Not thinking, hey, there's something else going on. I did feel a mass on my breast, but it was nothing abnormal to me and my body. I've had dense breasts. So I've had these masses. I've gone to get my mammograms, and nothing has shown up clear. But I hadn't gone for mammogram in 2 years. So I was in the middle of changing insurance. So by the time I went to the doctor in March of that year, because my insurance now changed, I went on a trip to Panama. And at that time in Panama, something serious happened. It started to hurt over potholes, just the slightest bumps. I was in excruciating pain with a smile on my face. And I had 2 friends who are doctors, and I said, this is what's happening. They said, Judy, when you get back to the US, go check it out. Cancer doesn't hurt, but go and check it out, because there's something serious going on here. There's something abnormal. And I said, okay. And I'll never forget one night I was sitting down with a friend just saying goodbye in Panama, and it started to leak, and I had a scarf on. And that's how I covered up my blouse. And that's how I was going on. So by the time I went to the doctor in March, I already knew something was not right. So contrary to what we think, breast cancer is just a lump, or maybe a rash. It's also discharge. It's also itching. So there are many different symptoms you can have to detect breast cancer. It's not just lumps and the breast detection that we're thinking it is. That's what I've now come to realize. So the moment I got that call, I'll never forget it. It was like at 9 o'clock in the morning. And I pick up the phone and it's Dr. Chen, and he says, you know what, I got the results back from your, well, actually it was before that. I went to a radiologist. He sent me for biopsy. And in there, he said, the radiologist, the doctor said, it doesn't look good. I said, why? He said, it's a large tumor. And it doesn't look right. There's something abnormal here because it's very large. And I'm like, large? He says, yes. And it's measuring. And he said something like 10 centimeters. Now, I don't know. I couldn't calculate centimeters to inches. So when I went home, I found it was 4 inches, right? And I'm just this 10 centimeter thing. And it didn't mean anything to me. So when the doctor called and said, it is cancer, literally your brain shuts down. And I've spoken to many women who have had the notification called cancer. Your brain literally shuts down and nothing else, because you can't hear anything else. And it goes into what I call cotton candy mode, where it's just fog and just this sticky thing, and it's this surreal. And after I got off the phone, I just cried, and I called my sister immediately, and I said, Mitzi, it's cancer. And she took a breath. She says, Judy, breathe. We'll work through this. It will be okay. Just breathe. And I said, okay. And I sat down. I hung up the phone with her, and I just cried. There was just crying and just, what is going on? Why is this? How did this happen?